With longtime Republican incumbent Cindy Stevenson ousted by term limits, the race for Florida House District 18 is wide open. Joining me to talk about his bid for the seat is Democratic candidate Keith Matthews. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning.
So, this is an area that is northern St. Johns County, Ponte Vedra, Fruit Cove, World Golf Village, Volano Beach. Why do you want to represent that district, and why do you think people ought to vote for you?
Well, I've been living in St. Johns County for since 1996. I'm an RN, so I just wanted to bring some compassion, empathy back to politics a little bit. And this is just the district that I'm in love with, and it's my home district. It's where I live.
You're an RN. You're actually a hospice nurse. Is that right?
Hospice, yes. I started out emergency room, critical care, and have been doing hospice for since about 10 years, something like that.
That's difficult work. How has it shaped you?
Well, I just um, how's it shaped me? It's kind of hard to. That's a great question, actually. But I would say it just makes me more of somebody who takes other people's uh, considerations and their heart and what they find important as more important, more or less than my own, if that kind of makes sense. I'm kind of like a servant, and I always have been, and that's kind of where my heart is. And I just want to be now a servant on this level of politics. I just don't like what's been going on. I don't like the direction that our politics has been for the last few years, and I think I can help.
Yeah. So let's talk about your platform. What are your priorities if elected?
Well, I really want to get away from culture wars and just kind of leave people alone. Kind of like be a freedom type of platform, freedom candidate, freedom of choice, freedom of to make your own decisions. Who just get out of my bedroom, get out of my doctor's office, get out of my world, and let me be. You know what I mean? Not me personally necessarily, but me collectively, and that's where my main platforms are. Don't like that we don't have Medicaid expansion in the state. I don't like that we don't have that we turn down things like food for the poor this summer because this seen somehow as being a political issue. I just think it should be for the people, for we, serving people, not serving myself, not serving just special interest or whatever it may be.
Any legislative priorities? I know that you have answered some questionnaires talking about things like insurance rates, the environment, development.
Correct. I really am a fan of the Florida Green New Deal, if you've ever seen that, or hopefully that'll become more of a topic at some point coming up. Legislatively, expanding Medicaid. I know that's kind of been an ongoing thing in this state, but at the same time, the outgoing House of Representative Speaker was one of the biggest opponents to it. Said it's dead on arrival. Well, now he's no longer going to be there, so hopefully that maybe that can actually happen in this state. It needs to happen. To rate, we need more insurance. We need to be able to insure people with the money that we're sending to the federal government. Send it back to us to help insure our people. What's better for the people? Um, that's just it. I'm for the people, and I don't feel like our government's been doing that in this state, and that's the direction I want to go.
What about the recent storms? Are there lessons learned here in Florida that change anything about how you view insurance or the need and the will to rebuild?
Well, then, yeah, insurance is that's really quite an issue on itself. One thing I do know is in insurance for the last 10 years, for example, or since 2020, we are actually a distant third in damage to state from storms. I think a lot of it is obviously tragic, and a lot of it is we need to prepare better as best we can. But at the same time, it's kind of overblown sometimes and from what I can see, of what's causing our insurance rates to be so high. Um, I know Texas, for example, has more than double, the damage and from storms year round than we have, but yet they have close to half of the actual insurance premiums from an individual
And what do you
standpoint.
attribute that to?
I attribute it actually to paid off politicians, to be honest, to money. My opponent right now, for example, I can't even identify some of the places where the money that she's getting her for her campaign, which is a couple $100,000 or 145, I think was the last total that I saw. But a lot of those comes from the same addresses and from insurance agencies. And I think that basically insurance agents or people that are actually benefiting most from this are buying influence within the state, and it's been ongoing for a long time with a supermajority that's veto proof.
And we should say your opponent is Republican Kim Kendall. She is a former FAA air traffic controller. She defeated Nick Primrose, who I think many thought was the favorite to win. He was sort of endorsed by Rick Scott, had used to work for him, and was
Right.
supported by a lot of bigwig Republicans. She has, I think, just gobs more money than you do, right? You've
Of
got
course.
a
Yeah.
few $1,000s, and she's got well over 150,000. So, how do you fight that? How do you even try to compete in an arena where you're have so much less funding?
Well, you can only there's only so much competition you can do, I suppose. I mean, uh, the underdogs have won in the past, and I may win again. I just think that being who I am, presenting myself, even in talk shows like this. Thank you for the opportunity to get my word out. You just do what you can, and let the voters decide. And if the voters decide, a lot of times people just vote for party, et cetera. But when they actually look at the platforms and look at who's running, hopefully there's more of that where I can get some votes and possibly win this thing.
And we should say we have invited your opponent to come on the program as part of our ongoing election coverage. We have not heard back from those requests,
Hmm.
but she certainly is still welcome to come. Um, Talk about Amendment 4. That's an issue that a lot of people are looking at in this, in November, whether or not to legalize recreational marijuana.
Well, I totally agree with legalizing marijuana. I mean, just the um, for the pure fact of just having it's going to be purchased. You know what I mean? So now we could actually get tax dollars from it. We could actually help the state
I'm
in
sorry,
that.
Amendment 3. I
Yeah,
apologize.
I know what you
Amendment
meant.
4 is the
Amendment
abortion
four is
amendment.
abortion.
Yeah.
I know what you meant. Yeah, I totally believe in the value of marijuana medically, simply because it can, I think, take away a lot of the dependence on a lot of controlled medications that are not necessarily as good, such as a lot of antidepressants and dealing with PTSD, dealing with pain. It has a lot of benefits that we are not taking advantage of simply because we're making it illegal for whatever reason.
But I mean, it is legal for medical uses.
Correct, but it needs to be expanded. So it's not even legal, for example, for pain, for chronic pain. It's not unless you have some other underlying thing. You can't just get medical marijuana for chronic pain, which is one of the biggest benefits that it has, as an example. But about recreational use, I think that it would decrease a lot of the crime or criminal penalties and that we've seen in the state, and decrease. It just it's going to be smoked. Let's control it. Let's get the additives out of it. Let's get a pure system and get the tax benefits as well. It
Talk
hasn't like it hasn't had a bad benefit on or a bad effect on any of the states that have recreational laws right now.
um, St. Johns County is battling rapid growth. Some would say, that it's really behind the 8 ball on growth that's already permitted and that is being realized every day. It's obviously been an issue at the county level. What do you think at the state level you would do or could do on that front?
Infrastructure is a big thing. Unfortunately, you can't move to paradise and lock the door behind you. It's an old saying, but infrastructure, but also just making sure that there's affordable housing with the development that is coming, because a lot of times now, for the growth that has been approved and for the growth that's coming in, people can't afford to live and say work in the private sector or in the service sector, which is the economy's highly dependent on. So we need to make sure that we do have affordable housing in every area that we're doing. Also, just infrastructure, like I say, getting away from the. Uh, I'd like to see the county, if possible, get away from so much septic system near, um, causing so much runoff into the St. Johns River and into a lot of the tributaries. And we need uh, more sewer systems, basically.
I want to take a call from Eric in Arlington. Just briefly, Eric, go ahead.
Hey, real quick. First of all, thank you for doing what you're doing. It's obvious that in America, um, folks are just trying to curry favor with millionaires and billionaires and corporations, whether it be Joe Rogan or Donald Trump, who had a meeting in his office or at Mar-a-Lago where he promised oil companies lots of big tax breaks if they voted for him and helped him raise money. Whatever stopgap measures were in place that kept this from happening in the past are not there anymore. Can you if you could address that one? I appreciate it. Thank you.
And just briefly,
Yeah,
because we're
I
going to
think a lot of that goes to the federal level. That's the Citizens United decisions that were made through the Supreme Court, which need to be overturned. I don't know that we can do much on the state level on that, except just be cognizant of it and actually make people aware and bring light to where the dirty money is.
Yeah. Well, Keith Matthews, he is running for the District 18 House seat. Thanks so much for being on the program.
Oh, thank you.
And early voting starts in St. Johns County and Duval County on October 21st. It starts in Clay County October 22nd and Nassau on October 23rd. So don't forget to vote.